Okay, so now we've actually got out of the way in terms of not only for free play stuff, but also the rare minigames, despite the fact that there's only 2 of them. So let's move on now onto the final minigame mode in terms of the minigame cruise, and that's what appears to be King of the River. Win minigames to find the treasure. And in order to able to unlock this particular mode, not only do you have to spend the forms of, I would say for about 2,000 cruise mileage points or something like that, but also you need to unlock every single minigames has to offer, ranging from all of the 4-player ones, and 1 versus 3 minigames, and also, I'm guessing duel mode as well, and maybe occasionally 2 versus 2, but either way though, we'll talk more about that whenever we dive right in to King of the River. I'm actually really looking forward to doing this though, because, god, it's been a long time since I actually experienced this mode, mind you, because much like in solo cruise mode, that I simply managed able to touch this once by going through, well, I'll get into more details as soon as we get started right here, right now. So yeah, this is King of the River. For those of you who haven't played Mario Party 1 Minigame Island before, and Minigame Coaster in Mario Party 2 as well, and before Mario Party the Top 100 Minigame Island, and also Super Mario Party Challenge Road, basically we have to go through a serious amount of minigames. So as you can see on screen, we have 3 different difficulties. There's the easy mode, and there's also the normal trip, and also the hard trip. And in order to unlock the other 2 difficulties, ranging from normal and hard, you have to go through, well, you start the mode off as in just the easy cruise, or the easy trip I should say, but then as soon as you complete that, then you move on to the normal trip, and then vice versa until you get to the hard trip. Now, for this particular run-through of King of the River, I'm going to be going for the hard trip, much like the forms of how it does it on Minigame Coaster in Mario Party 2. That's basically that's the way I essentially gonna do it. So I'm probably not gonna do multitude of playthroughs for the sake of the forms of King of the River, because it will be just only one playthrough, which appears to be the hard trip. So I think the only differences between the forms of those 3 difficulties in terms of the forms of King of the River is pretty obvious. In easy trip you go through 10 minigames, and on normal trip you go for 20 minigames, and finally the hard trip, it will actually gives you ability to go for 30 minigames. So that's the way I'm essentially going to be doing for the sake of time. And also that if you manage to able to complete one of those trips, if it's either easy, normal, or hard trips, sometimes you might able to come across into yourselves one of those 3 legendary treasures that you might able to come across into. Well, I'll discuss more about it until whenever we continue proceeding for this particular mode itself. And as you can see, I've almost got the new record for Fun Run. So, relatively speaking, in terms of those minigames you come across into, some of them can be ranging from 4-player minigames and also 1 versus 3 minigames, which I think you always have to be on a team of 1 in order to be able to actually win those kinds of minigames. You know, kind of like the forms of how it does it on Minigame Island sometimes, from the likes of Mario Party 1 and the Top 100, and the Minigame Coaster in Mario Party 2, and of course Challenge Road from the likes of Super Mario Party. But unlike in Super Mario Party, that you don't have, although in this game you don't have different kinds of objectives, unlike in the forms of how it does it on Super Mario Party. But yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, and also every once in a while though, you come across into dual minigames every once in a while in order to able to win most of those minigames as well. I don't think there's any way you can able to actually play 2 versus 2 minigames on this run, because, well, it's pretty obvious that we doesn't seem to able to work on team-based minigames. And another new record on Mad Props. Oh man, I'm actually getting a lot more pro at this now, especially noticeable that, then again though, the controls might take a long time to get used to, especially noticeable if you're trying to like steer the actual Mad Prop itself, and especially noticeable just trying to able to actually just drive forward and stuff like that. So anyways, let's move on to the next minigame, Catchy Tunes. I'm presuming so, that most of those mini-games, depending on what trip you go into, I think, that basically though, I think you come across into the exact same mini-games and stuff like that, but there are a few most of the time where basically though, you might come across into Bowser mini-game multiplayer ones. So because of that though, like for instance, on the easy trip, you only have to come across into one Bowser minigame in multiplayer category, which appears to be like, let's just say, Thumbstickle Course, and then on normal trip, you have to go through two of them, which are Thumbstickle Course and Thunderwall. God, I'm not looking forward to able to replay that minigame again, because, well, I'll point it out whenever we come across into that minigame again. And, as for the hard trip, though, you have to go for all three of them, so, like, ranging from, you know, Thumbstickle Course, Thunderwall, and lastly, Magical Journey, so that might be something worth classifying for noticing this, so. But I digress. And also, the first 5 of those mini-games you come across into, that we actually come across into the forms of those red spirit guys, but then so eventually on the next 5, that you come across into the orange shy guys, or spirit guys in general, so yeah, you get the idea about that. And also, out of all the actual modes, in terms of Mario Party 7, that for those who haven't unlocked everything, for the sake of those souvenirs, which I'll show those off, and join at some point in next weekend, until whenever we get to the ending portion of Mario Party 7, that out of all the actual modes in Mario Party 7, where it comes to getting those you know, cruise mileage points, this is by far the best way you can able to actually just to get cruise mileage points from, because, well, we'll point it out whenever we're able to get to towards the end of this particular mode itself, although, unlike in the forms of another one of those modes from the likes of Mario Party 6, that basically though, if you somehow manage to able to realize that if you lose a minigame, thankfully though, unlike in Endurance Alley mode from Mario Party 6, if you lose that one of those minigames, you're done. So it's like an endurance run, and basically you just have to able to try your best to see how far you can get. Whilst in here though, you do have a life system, very much like the forms of how it does it on Minigame Island from Mario Party 1 and Minigame Coaster in Mario Party 2. However, the biggest difference is this time around though, is the fact that we can no longer able to increase our lives, ranging from 4 and onwards. So because of that though, we have to be strict onto 3 lives. So I'm alright with this though, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, winning those minigames is overall pretty easy, all things considered, unlike in some frustrations here and there from the likes of Mario Party 1 and Mario Party 2 minigame coaster though on hardcores. I mean, good lord, man. But yeah, you get the idea about that. And also, as you probably already noticed, is the fact that we've actually stumbled across the actual coin token every time whenever I finish the first 5 minigames in that particular segment. And to get that coin token, by the way, though, is the fact that you can't afford able to lose a single minigame within 5 minigames in a row syndrome. So because of that, though, if you manage to accomplish that, then you get yourselves a coin token, which it can be represented within one of those items you might as well able to get by converting them into cruise mileage points. So, oh, speaking of a devil, we have Mini Bowser right here, which, if you come across into him, then obviously, like I said, there are a few times that you come across into the Bowser minigames. So, and like I said before, they are all multiplayer ones, so I don't think they're gonna bring in the single player based ones though, so they're all just multiplayer ones, so of course we're going back into Thumbstickle Course again. So it has been a really long time since we actually did manage to come across into those Bowser minigames since in the actual regular party boards. Well, mind you though, because like I said before, ever since in Bowser's Enchanted Inferno videos, that was the only board that you don't come across into Bowser minigames or Bowser spaces for that matter, aside from Bowser time events, which is obviously Island Sunk and stuff like that. So yeah, you get the idea. Now, of course, like always, the computer players, as far as character choices, is always randomized each time whenever you move on to the next few minigames and stuff like that. And of course, it might actually get progressively harder as you progress. So, however though, if you somehow manage to lose a minigame, basically though that you only lose 1 life, and because of that though, if all 3 of those lives have been taken, then obviously you're gonna have to start all over again. I could assuming so anyway, because again, it has been a very long time since I actually last touched this mode, ever since back in 2011, well, at least with Sonic has already told me that, and as a result though, that at least what Sonic did actually told me, that basically though is the fact that well, he only visits this particular mode for 1 time within 3 playthroughs, such as for instance with Easy Trip, Normal Trip, and Hard Trip, so yeah, you get the idea about that. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and get started with, wait for it. So, in this case though, we need to beat Yoshi in this one, so yeah, that's as far as I can honestly try to say in terms of the forms of how King of the River plays out. So, even then though, I'm very surprised that we're actually going back to the single-player based modes again after the events of, well, unlike any forms of in Mario Party 6, that basically though is the fact that, like I said, you have to go through like, well, in order to able to finish the entire mode, but assuming if you're able to try to win all kinds of different minigames and stuff like that in Endurance Alley and Mario Party 6, that if you get up to 100 though, then you are obviously able to become a true champion when it comes to, you know, Endurance Alley mode. Well, it doesn't give you that much rewarding if you manage to able to get up to 100 of those minigame victories and stuff, aside from just bragging rights. But also in here though, it actually gives us something rewarding, depending on what difficulty trip you go to. So like, well, I'll get to more now as soon as we finish Pokepummel for the final time, and so close to getting new records, but that's okay. Because unlike in math props, that I'm simply dominated for that particular math props itself. So, anywho, because for instance, on the Easy Trip, the only treasure you can get on the Easy Trip is the actual chest box, which actually contains some gems, obviously. But if you come across into, let's just say if you finish up with the forms of the normal trip, you get yourselves the magic lamp. Not to be confused as the kind of a familiar magic lamp if you ever played Mario Party 2, and Mario Party 3, and Mario Party 4. However, the biggest difference is this time, it does not activate the Mushroom Genie, sadly, so yeah, you get the idea about that. And unfortunately though, since I've actually lost on that particular Royal Rumpus minigame, because I still find the actual ground pounding on that minigame kind of fickle to deal with, so as a result though, yeah, I've seemed to lost by 1 point. So as you can see, since I've lost that minigame, this means I lost my life. However, if you've got 2 lives remaining, well, if you head back onto that specific section right here on the entrance department, basically, thankfully, Toadsworth actually gives you 1 of your lives. So, yeah, at least that's a pretty cool way to able to restore some life points and stuff like that. Well, mind you, you can't able to actually go up to 4 lives or anything, so alright, so that concludes the first 10 minigames that we actually deal with, and now let's move on to the next 10. In this case, we now on to the normal trip segments, so up next we have is Fright Light, so it will be pretty easy for the team of 1 because, like I said, that the team of 1 does have a lot of advantage by simply just make everything else a lot faster for your running speed, whilst compared to the team of 3 sometimes though, they always seemed able to have struggled able to move quite fast, so, but either way though, I simply managed to get this no problem. Oh yeah, something's worth mentioning for the sake of time though, is the fact that one thing I forgot to mention about, at least in ever since in, well, let's just say in Bowser's Enchanted Inferno board, that you notice about the fact that one of those items that we actually see in action, which appears to be body forms of the Vacuum Orb. Now, what's so interesting about that Vacuum Orb is the fact that, well, do you guys even remember from the likes of the forms of, well, for those who ever played Luigi's Mansion, from the likes of when Luigi uses the Poltergust 3000, well, it was being made by Professor Egad and stuff like that. Whilst in the forms of in Super Mario Sunshine, they did manage to reference Professor Egad from the likes of, you know, that cinematic scene. Whenever you're able to stumble across the forms of in the first introduction to Bowser Jr. and stuff like that, well, yeah, that was also being made by Professor Egad. And apparently, though, that I suppose that Tiana has forgot to mention about this, at least I think so anyway, that whatever when she already did Mario Party 4 Let's Play, she forgot to mention about the fact that with that particular special item you get, that for instance that in one of those protective items you get, that basically does the fact that there's one of those items called Gadlight, or yeah, it's Gadlight, and I'm pretty sure that's I think she's already mentioned about, although I absolutely have no idea. But then again, though, it has been about a few also months since we actually last played Mario Party 4. Well, at least in almost about a year ago. Well, mind you, that until next month, that eventually we're approaching on to April, so I digress. So yeah, because of this though, today's day is of course the I would say is the 6th of March today, in this case in 2022 today, so it looks like about the fact that, well, until at this point anyway, that we've only got about 19 days left until that the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild is gonna come out, which honestly I'm not looking forward to that, at least specifically in the UK version, because as far as what Pac-Man has already mentioned about this ever since in well, for instance, in The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past Let's Play, that as far as for that film goes, that it's been received so poorly. Especially noticeable, there's a lot of negativity between not only for critics, but also fans as well. Just like in forms of how it does it on Ice Age 5 Collusion Course. Because, well, I can assure you, because most people are getting sick and tired of the forms of those other sequels of those Ice Age films or something. Anyway, let's get talk about the forms of that EGAD's inventions that I somehow managed to able to mention about. I've already mentioned about the fact that obviously he made Poltergeist 3000 and of course Flood from Super Mario Sunshine, but also he made Gadlight from the likes of Mario Party 4 and one of those vehicle parts inspired by Professor EGAD from the likes of Mario Party 5, and also he made his appearance from the likes of Mario Party 6, but in forms of EGAD's Garage, as you probably already know, and also he made his brief appearance on Mario Luigi Superstar Saga for the Game Boy Advance, and the 3DS version as well, at least I think so anyway. But it turns out that the vacuum orb is actually being made by Professor EGAD as well. Like, you probably already know about that, because if you probably pay attention to the forms of that familiar EGAD face icon for that particular vacuum orb, at least it only equipped it for Wario and Waluigi respectively. So because of that though, I actually did not know that at first. Well, at least whatever I found out, thanks to one of those videos they managed to upload the evolutions of EGAD's inventions. So yeah, Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. We're able to actually give us some brief infos for the sake of, well, interesting facts. So, alright, so now we're on to the halfway point in terms of the hard trip. So, yeah, let's get to it. And eventually, like I said, that certain minigames every now and then gets a lot tougher as you progress. So, but I'm sure we'll get the gist of it though. Especially noticeable if we move on to let's just say the next Bowser minigame coming up, which appears to be, Thunder Wall. I'm not looking forward to that, like I said. But thankfully though, that will be the final time we're definitely going to be seeing the Bowser minigames for reals, because as far as I'm aware, that it wasn't until a Mario Party 8 roll-around that sadly they did manage to ditch out not only DK minigames, but also, like I said, ditched out the actual Bowser minigames until they managed able to get them back. Well, to be more specifically, in both the Top 100 and Superstars. Well, at least I also want to count the forms of Mario Party 9, but ultimately though, Mario Party 9 only has one DK minigame, and on top of all that stuff though, basically though, just one Bowser minigame in general by dealing with boss battles in general, despite, you know, the DK bonus minigame is actually a Banana Collectathon minigame, not a boss fight. Kinda confusing, I know, but oh, and also, the Bowser minigames will definitely make a return from the likes of, well, to be more specifically in Mario Party 10, but to be more specifically with Bowser Party minigames that you're able to use one gamepad to control Bowser and stuff like that, with all these different rules or objectives or anything. And as far as I'm aware, that there are a few Bowser minigames in Star Rush, but some of them are only seem to be playable on Queen Alphalon sometimes. But also you can able to actually just to play them on free play mode as long as you would unlock them. So, and for the top 100 though, they obviously bring back, I would say, 3 or so mini-games, at least I'm assuming so, but then again though, it has been a very long time since I have last played, you know what I mean, Mario Party the top 100, because as far as I'm aware, Superstars is more superior, as far as you probably already noticed from the start, so... But anyway, now we've actually finally managed able to complete it, Thunderwall, so thank good riddance, we're probably not going to touch that minigame ever again, because, well, I just almost got a little bit frustrated with that minigame sometimes because of the unpredictable movement for those hovercrafts and stuff like that for those mini Bowsers or Koopa kids. So, alright, Blue Lunatic is up next, and since I'm going to be still in a part of the team of 1, so yeah, let's go and do this. Oh, and then also another thing that Professor EGAD also created the well, you probably already know about that, at least if you ever watched our Mario Kart Arcade GP1 and GP2 Let's Plays, that it's pretty obvious that Professor EGAD also created Robo Mario as in the forms of the final challenge on the Rainbow Cup. So, that's something as well classified for noticing this from the start though, but at least that's something as usual I can able to describe about it, so... Anywho though, and as far as some other discussions I would like to discuss upon, honestly there's not much else I can speak about. Well, aside from the fact that I've already mentioned about the fact that, well, I've already mentioned about the fact that in terms of 2 of those different trips, which is Easy Trip and Normal Trip, like I said, you get these, you know, the chest which contains the gems on Easy Trip, and you get yourselves the magic lamp from the likes of the Normal Trip, and the third and the final treasure, which if you somehow manage to complete it, the hard trip, which I'll show that off once we've completed this entirety of this playthrough. So I'll just keep my mouth closed until whenever I discuss on that, until, you know what I mean, whenever we approach towards the end of this mode. So, which is kind of convenient, because it seems that we're pretty much almost nearly towards the end in terms of Mario Party 7, in this case the conclusion to the actual GameCube era of Mario Party games. So as a result though, that's how we seem to almost done with the forms of the rest of the Mario Party games to able to, well, do Let's Plays off, and especially noticeable that thankfully the quality on those other games is actually a lot better than I thought it was. And also got my new record in Snow Ride. Ah, that's so glorious. Especially noticeable that, although sadly though, this will be the last time we're going to be hearing that particular minigame announcer from the likes of Mario Party 6 and Mario Party 7, because, well, if we move on to Mario Party 8, he'll be replaced by someone else, but it can't be still more accurately like a manly voice or something like that, but I'm sure that I'm pretty sure that Maxie will mention more about it when he goes into Mario Party 8, so... Alright, so let's get on to Give Me a Sign. So, in this case though, we're face off against with Boo, so... Yeah, you probably get the idea about that. And also, as far as I found out, that the actual music in the background, well, assuming we finish this minigame first before we resume our points to that particular King of the River mode. Oh, jeez. Okay. Just need to concentrate now. Okay. Whew. That was a close one. Oh, and by the way, if you get tied with someone else, you also lose a life. So just be very careful about that. And luckily though, speaking of losing lives though, luckily though, if you manage to lose to that particular the Bowser minigame, luckily though, it doesn't able to actually offer you to lose 2 lives. Instead it was just 1, just like in the forms of how it does it on any other minigames if you lose. So, at least that's a good thing. And of course, much like the forms of Minigame Island, and especially noticeable with Minigame Coaster, that every time whenever you finish this set of minigames, then basically though you do have the ability to save your progress in the King of the River, so at least that's come in handy though, assuming if you have your memory card with you, so... Alright, cartwheeled again, so things get a little bit more relative at this point by going around in the figure 8 for the final time in this game. And now we have these other 3 computer players, which are both Luigi, Wario, and Toad. So yeah, you probably get the idea about these opponents get randomized each time you, like I said, if we manage to move on to the next set of minigames and stuff like that. So, but you know, you get the idea about that. So anyway, so let's go ahead and be very careful not to bash into any walls whatsoever, assuming if we... you know, trying to be more steady with all that, you know, acceleration and turning and all that stuff, but, anywho. Could go for a new record, but because the computer players just block my way, but, oh well, no big deal. No big deal, yo. At least I'll be fine as it is when it comes to taking the actual victory on its own. Yeah, for that particular music in the background, if you manage to get into those specific areas of King of the River, it almost kind of reminds me like a remixed version of Endurance Alley music from the likes of Mario Party 6. Because, mind you, it's the fact that several sound effects in this game heavily borrows from Mario Party 6. And look at that, we come across into a different picture this time around. Whilst, unlike in several other playthroughs of Picture This, that we always come across into the car one, which I kind of wish there was actually more variety when it comes to likely just come across into different variations of it. Although, we really wish if we can able to also see the snail one as well, but of course, unfortunately though, things are randomized. You know, just like in forms of how it does it whenever you're able to do some of these Mario Party 2 minigames, which is obviously Slot Car Derby, as well as Roll Call, and everything else really. But apart from those side of things though, that's as far as I can say about it. So, but at least I do enjoy this minigame though from time to time, although it gets a bit fast-paced if you somehow manage to able to flick through pages fast enough though, and especially noticeable it's a little bit more competitive. So anyways, let's go and put that there, and we pretty much win.
Yes, I'm the winner.
Oh, and something's worth mentioning as well, that if you manage to able to lose a life in one of those segments in King of the River, basically though is the fact that also if you manage to lose one life, and then basically your coin token will not show up. So because of that though, that's, you know, that's why, that only forms of in, minigames 6 through 10, that I somehow lost to that particular Royal Rumpus minigame. Originally I was going to practice that minigame, but for some reason, I just keep getting myself screwed over with all these, really weird ground pound delay and stuff like that, or most of the time, those Goombas are pretty smart when it comes to likely just trying to avoid everything, including everyone else's ground pounds, so that's a bit annoying and inconsistent with that minigame sometimes though, but we'll just have to deal with a loss anyway, so. Alright, minigame number 24, let's see what we got. Bridgework. Okay, so we've already experienced that minigame before, which, either way though, this time around though, we'll compete against with Wario, so. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much as far as I can say in terms of the forms of, well, how King of the River plays out to be. It's actually kind of fun mode as it is, because it almost reminds me of the throwback to the likes of Mario Party 1 minigame. Ah, darn it! I can't believe I just got cornered. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention to that Cheeps formation. Although, then again, that minigame reminds me of so much of one of those levels in the original Super Mario Bros. So, yeah, no, it's surely it's something. Alright, minigame 25, let's see what we get. Track in yard. Oh boy. We have to deal with that particular really weird camera angle perspective while, you know, try to avoid a lot of hurdles, including, you know, normal ones and electrical ones too. So yeah, apart from the fact that, well, relatively speaking also, I think anyway, that, recently, about the fact the matter is, oh god. Oh jeez. Okay, just need to concentrate right now. Oh, okay. That wasn't too all that bad. I could imagine if I was able to do this minigame on very hard difficulty. Oh god, I'm also getting myself butt kicked. But anyway, what's what I'm trying to say? Oh yeah, I know for the fact that, well, you noticed about the fact that the UK version of Mario Party 9 is already now 10 years old now. But eventually at some point on the 11th of March, in America anyway, I think it's, to be more specifically, it's like, next Friday or something? That basically does the fact that that particular game on the North America is also getting its 10th anniversary as well for Mario Party 9. But I'm sure that, I'm sure I'll try my best to be able to mention about that, or if someone else can able to mention about that, if we, you know, go back onto the likes of, Clear 2 Dream Champ Tournament, and, also applies to the forms of the conclusion to Royal Land 4 before we move on to the other set of Let's Plays in general. But yeah, we're actually getting to the point where it's almost like springtime. Well, I know for the fact that since we're already in March, but it might be a bit too early to able to do Mario Party 8 right now, but then again, I'll save that up until we'll let Maxi will point it out until when it gets to April, so that way we can able to do the next Mario Party before we move on to the last and current Mario Party game until we're done with the series. So, and by that time, once we're done with the Mario Party series from now on, I'm pretty sure we'll move on to something else. Like, for instance, maybe an RPG kind of games. Like, I know for the fact that I haven't done one for such a long time, but maybe I'm very curious to try one. Like, doing a Let's Plays of. Like, for instance, maybe Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, or Super Mario RPG, or just anything else for that matter. Or even some other sports games here and there as well. Like, as far as you guys, you probably already know that ever since when Pac-Man has already mentioned about in the likes of The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past playthrough, that originally though, we have managed to already did done Mario Sports Mix back in the forms of 2014, whatever when Sonic or Pac-Man has already mentioned to me about this today. But sadly though, that you notice about the fact that our Let's Play of Mario Sports Mix is no longer there anymore, mainly because of the forms of the quality itself is average, but however though, the lackluster audio still exists. So because of that though, we think we're almost able to redo that Let's Play at some point until maybe next year if we decide to do some Mario sports titles. So that'll be part of the fun. Alright, Camp Yukiki, here we go. I'm so glad that we actually stumbled across into this minigame though. Because, like I said, this is without doubt my favorite minigame. In terms of not only for Mario Party 7, but also my favorite dual minigame of all time. Just because, well, since I love platforming so much, and also about the fact that, well, I just love some competitive racing action. Ah, dang it! I spoke too soon when it comes to likely timing jumps and stuff. But at least we... What the hell? Why's my jump button did not come out? I think it's probably because my controller seems to have its age, but okay, there we go. Now we pass through that. And get onto that little horizontal bar. And we should be able to be good to go for the most part, so... Despite I did manage to fall off twice, and I think I realized that Boo also falls out twice, so... And I was pretty shocked about this as well, that we've never actually come across into both Bodo and Dry Bones in terms of the King of the River mode so far. Like, I just did not notice about the fact that the those two characters doesn't show up from King of the River mode, but I was expecting it, but apparently it doesn't. Alright, I get the feeling that Mini Bowser is going to be on the last minigame on this run, so spray anything. Alright. So of course we already know what the last minigame we'll come across into. Well, not only just try to bump into Mini Bowser for the final time, but also about the fact that we'll play Magical Journey. But hopefully though, that particular minigame should be a lot more easier than the Thunder Wall. At least I've already mentioned about this loads of times during the course of the actual boards themselves, so... But yeah, seriously, since I'm still gonna be on a team of 1 from the majority of those 1 versus 3 minigames and stuff like that, that obviously this minigame is a joke. Which is especially true about the fact that, like I said, I kinda wish there was actually like have the ability that I have like 3 hit points, but for some reason it's only just 1. But oh well, no big deal. Alright, the last minigame in terms of King of the River mode, and that is, of course, Magical Journey, and hopefully we'll get it done just in no time. Oh, and by the way, that one more thing I would like to mention about, obviously you can't play the Mike minigames either, because, well, it's pretty obvious that we have to go through standard minigames as opposed to Mike minigames, so something's worth mentioning. But yeah, as far as the forms of that discussion goes, in terms of not only for today's day, but also what the actual description for the sake of King of the River plays out, that's as far as I can say in terms of the forms of how this mode plays out. But either way though, just prepare yourselves with the forms of some tricky minigames, even though, mind you, luckily enough for me, that the only time I seem to get screwed over on certain minigames in this mode, which are Royal Rumpus due to the forms of those Goombas are moving way too fast as soon as I ground pound, and another one which is Bridgework because I somehow got cornered by those cheap jeeps, but that's okay because not every run can be perfect though, although the only maximum you can get up to in terms of those coin tokens, I believe you can get up to like 6 of them, so, but if you somehow managed able to do the perfect run, then you would able to get a lot, I mean a lot of those cruise mileage points, so there we go, that pretty much wraps it up for the hard trip for King of the River mode. So yeah, pretty swell and awesome at the same time. And there goes the actual the coin token here. So of course we got 4 of them out of 6, so at least it's okay. And we got ourselves the legendary treasure. And this one appears to be the Power Star statue. And I'll talk more about that whenever we get into the finale video of this. So, and this will pretty much add it onto the souvenir collection. And after you're really done with the King of the River mode, like I said, you can get yourselves a whole bunch of those cruise mileage points. So again, it's the best mode to able to actually get a lot of cruise mileage points if you don't purchase anything. So, highly recommend you're able to go into the hard course, and then that way you can get a lot of points out of it. So I highly recommend you do that. So there we go. That pretty much concludes the entirety of Minigame Cruise. Pretty fun though, actually. Even though, mind you, about the fact that the Waterfall Battle is actually one of the most shortest game modes throughout the entire Minigame Cruise. So, anyway, so we got the endings off here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Mario Party 7. It will be the finale video in terms of this Let's Play, and that is showing off some extras, as well as the souvenirs I'd be collecting. So I'll see you guys until on next Saturday. Later, fellas.